Close my eyes, about to come seeing you. Listen to me, listen, I can be with you. Share my love and ecstasy with you. Are you alone? Is your shorty sleep? Close my eyes, about to come seeing you. Listen to me, listen, I can be with you. Share my love and ecstasy with you. Are you alone? Is your shorty sleep? Close my eyes, about to come seeing you. Listen to me, listen, I can be with you. Share my love and ecstasy with you. Are you alone? Is your shorty sleep? Close my eyes, about to come seeing you. Listen to me, listen, I can be with you. Share my love and ecstasy with you. Are you alone? Is your shorty sleep? Close my eyes, about to come seeing you. Listen to me, listen, I can be with you. Share my love and ecstasy with you. Are you alone? Is your shorty sleep? Close my eyes, about to come seeing you. Listen to me, listen, I can be with you. Share my love and ecstasy with you. Are you alone? Is your shorty sleep? Close my eyes, about to come seeing you.
Peace, peace, peace to the family, peace to the souls, to all the spirits, to all the energies out there. This is the Hood Mystic. Feel good today. Feel wonderful, actually. Better than good. Got a lot to talk about, and I'm hoping that I can. I guess the healthy fear before each live is being able to transmit the message as I receive it clearly to the individual who's ready to receive the message. And from there, stepping into that healthy fear daily or semi-daily recently has always been healthy, and it's one of those things. The title of this video is Secret Societies, and that means a lot to me because my spiritual journey has been that of a societal thing where I've been with people and we've been spiritually planting seeds throughout the country and with the internet throughout the planet, and now seeing those seeds come to fruition and things of that nature. uh it's a very powerful thing. And very recently with my wife, the things that we've been doing, the spaces that we've been, the seeds that we've been planting, not just in, lovey-dovey conversation, but actually getting out into nature with our herbs, with our intention, and really fortifying and really connecting with the ancestors in a very intimate way. Just how our relationship is very intimate, but it translates into the spiritual the same way. And so very thankful for her to be taking part as a witness to the journey, because the reality is that I've done a lot of things spiritually by myself, which was good, but incorporating my wife into it, and then ultimately my children, and ultimately connecting with other individuals and that are aligned with the spiritual frequency of the secret society, of the psychological just meaning the study of the soul, and bringing that to the forefront and really relating to human beings on a soul level, as opposed to relating to human beings on a humanistic, trauma, manipulative, fantasy level. And so as we discuss the astrology, oh, Today we're gonna crack open a new series of magic. We started the series of magic with the blue magic, wealth magic. The next step into, just opening our minds and developing new systems of magic. We're gonna deal with yellow magic. Today will be a part one overview, and subsequent days we'll deal with the more intricacies and things of that nature and deal with it and build with it, and then finally will compose of everything that we discussed in yellow magic and really have a understanding of what yellow magic is and how we can incorporate it in our daily lives. And the interesting thing about the things that I've been studying and the energy that I've been interfacing with is that it's all connecting. It's all connecting in a sublime way that I could never ever really map out. And every experience that I experienced as a child, uh, some of the things that I experienced as a child wasn't so good. But then we do have those positive things that resonated with our souls, that those things happen for a reason. And it doesn't have to be like a amusement park trip. It could be those times where you are studying and things of that nature, or a book report, or just the times where you are really engaged and really in tuned, especially in the realms of history, without no nudge or any type of force. Like you just naturally resonated or gravitated to a particular point in time. That is very, very spiritual. That is very indicative of past life connections. And then bringing that all into our normal daily life is very important, I guess. And trying to explain that astrologically is what I'm going to try to do with this video. So hopefully we are patient and we can kind of relax. It's a Sunday. Hopefully you don't have a lot to do. You can feel free to join along with me on my notes. If you are a note subscriber, just hop on in. If you don't know how to get into the notes, just email me, say hoodmystic, I want to join the notes, and I'll send you a link and you'll be joined into the notes. So we're just going to go through these notes point for point, and the same for the yellow magic when we conclude the astrology. But this particular aspect that we're going to be discussing today is Mercury entering into Western Pisces and sidereal Aquarius. In the actuality of the universe, Mercury is at the cusp of Capricorn, leading into Aquarius. And Aquarius is an important energy to discuss when we're discussing life within itself and the age that we are entering in. There is no denying that we are a part of the Aquarian age. And so when planets enter into the actual energy of Aquarius, then we have to kind of understand the complexities of transition. And the problem comes to the individual simply when it wants to stay in a particular state, or it is attached to a particular organism that doesn't want to evolve. When the individual within itself has to evolve, it has entered into its cocoon state, and no cocoon animal stays in that state forever, whether it's a bear, whether it's a butterfly, whether it is a human being. And so the analogy that I think best suits Mercury entering into sidereal Aquarius or Western Pisces is very simply the analogy of the butterfly. Because the Sabian symbol speaks to metamorphosis. And so to understand metamorphosis, we are understanding that nothing about metamorphosis is a constant state where a caterpillar decides, okay, I'm gonna go into this cocoon, and this cocoon feels great, and I'm just gonna imagine what it's gonna be like to be a goddamn butterfly. No, that's not the purpose of isolation. That's not the purpose of seclusion. The purpose of seclusion is to put your life into a particular order or a particular assertion. Assertion, the etymology to assertion is to put into order, to arrange. So to go into isolation and to find joy in just that space, and to not want to connect or not want to heal or not want to teach, then you're doing your soul a disservice. So ultimately, we want to understand why we were put on this path, or why we're interested, or why we're developing this consciousness. And so metamorphosis is an initiation. That is a butterfly going into the cocoon. It is really aligning with your spiritual masters, and they're really giving you good game. And you know that it's good game because after a while you emerge from that cocoon as a completely different organism. In the humanistic terms, when we really deal with our meditation and we're really sincere and we really want to know self, then you are dealt with positive results. You don't deal with the spiritual, and then you don't begin to change your diet. You don't begin to find peace in your life, and then get evicted. It doesn't work that way. So ultimately, we're trying to better ourselves, and we're trying to understand how we incorporate the spirituality to better ourselves, without simply wanting this transformation to happen. We are simply understanding the deeper intricacies or technologies or scientific methods, and we're not wishing for shit, right? We're not wishing for spiritual transformation. We're understanding how it works. We are scientific with this shit. That's why we have books. That's why we have quotes. That's why we have a variety of different things. So the idea of metamorphosis is to change the form or structure, the action or process of changing in forms. It is not the it is not the prayer, it is not the mantra or any of that. It is the actual factual reality of, if I go into this cocoon, I'm gonna come out a butterfly. And then once I do that, right? Once I become a butterfly, now I have to deal with my new butterfly friends. And I can't really chill with the caterpillars no more because they don't even understand, because it's not that, maybe they understand it in a way where, intellectually they understand everything that I'm saying, but they're not going to go into that cocoon and tap into those higher realms. Right? They're not going to do the astrology. They're not going to study their natal chart and understand themselves as an abstracted individual. They're going to deal with themselves as a personality, and that's the caterpillar. The caterpillar is the person that only deals with themselves as a personality. The butterfly is the individual that goes deep within himself and contacts those higher realms, and the metaphor that we use for flying is the ability to connect with those higher realms. And we don't just do this shit by conjecture and YouTube videos. Nah, we get up out here. Like, it's not a mound in the Ohio area that me and my wife have not went to that pay offering. There is no body of water, lake, river in Ohio that I haven't personally put offering to, or me and my wife put offering to. So I don't really give a shit how people feel about me or on my soul, because you shouldn't give a fuck about what a person thinks about you either. You should be really dealing with your offerings and your thanks and your gratitude, because that's how you're gonna connect. That's your initiation. It ain't shit about chilling at the crib that's gonna free you. So if you understand how life works, understand how this country works. This country is built upon a government, but who runs the government is the shadow government, and the shadow government is a fucking secret society. And the secret society, they base their rules off astrology, occult thought, and the same shit that we discuss on here daily. The only difference between us and them is that they're organized with their shit. They're together with their shit. They're in unison with their shit. With us, we gotta go to work. We got other shit to do. We gotta pay rent. And that's the only fucking difference. If we were to collectively come together at these ley lines, at these 40th parallel degree marks, which they've done and created this whole society, which we sit on to this day, nigga, you get in your taxes. Everything is built upon spiritual secret societies. And you can argue that point, but let's argue. Cause I'm which y'all don't know, I'm very much at peace with everything. But if ever a nigga ever came for me, niggas have been coming for me my whole entire life. Physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and I fight back. And that's just the way that the world works. You can't be in this world asserting yourself, getting your shit in order, and a person not looking at you because they don't have their shit in order, and figuring that they're gonna fuck up your shit, disrupt your shit. So you have to protect what you're doing. When you assert yourself, you can't assert yourself and be afraid. It doesn't work. So the positive energy of dealing with this transformation and understanding this whole metamorphosis is really understanding the process of metamorphosis. Understanding self-illumination, and self-illumination, it keys into yellow magic, what we're going to talk about a little later. But the negative energies is to simply go into the cocoon, go into that isolation, and just imagine what life would be like if your ass was a goddamn butterfly. Okay. As the observer to a caterpillar, you would never imagine that that caterpillar is doing some hot shit in his cocoon by imagining himself as a butterfly. You would really see that shit if that nigga emerged from that flying. And we all have that capability. So either or. This energy is sextile Uranus. And Uranus at the 29th degree of Aries speaks to going beneath the surface of surface love and surface vibrations. Because your mama fed you, you love her because she fed you. Now, if she starved you, would you have that same love? Meaning, if you met a person 50 years from now, from the point of time that you were born, and they touched a part of your soul, and you love that person, you invited them in your home, hell shit, you wanted to marry that person, you consecrated that whole relationship, had a children with that person, oh, you had some deep love. But say, for instance, you were 17, you didn't know that person, and you needed some money, that person wasn't around, but like, do you follow where I'm going? Where you can't look at people on love levels or spiritual levels like, well, when I was fucked up when I was 15, you wasn't there for me. Now you want to act like you love me. You don't love me. Like, that's conditional love. And veneration is the yearning that you have in your soul, irregardless to the surface love. Like, you had a boyfriend, girlfriend, you don't give a fuck about them now. Once you meet your spirit, you meet that one, and it's like, what was you doing with your boyfriend and girlfriend? Was you wasting time? Was you playing with them? But no, you was crying and shit, like you was stalking his ass and shit. And then you meet somebody, right? And now it's like, you know, what was I even thinking about? I say all that to say, is you in that moment right now? Is you in a what am I even fucking thinking about moment now? Is you sacrificing or is you settling for respect and love based upon surface shit? Or are you really in tune with your soul? Are you really with that person that's giving you that deepest love and satisfaction? Because if you're not in tune with the cosmic order of the celestial spheres. And all of this needs to happen because we are entering into the age of Aquarius. We have been entering into the age of Aquarius. If we've been sinking our toes into the age of Aquarius, we are fucking knee deep at this point. So are you attuned to the cosmic orders of the celestials of your soul, or are you just trying to make a buck? You just trying to get by. And all of this speaks to the 29th degree mark of Aries and Uranus signals a great change, and that great change is us listening to the inner voice. But to listen to that inner voice without personalizing that inner voice, because the personality has to be examined, and we're going to get to that examination once we get to this yellow magic. But you got to follow me. You got to fuck with me on this. You got to just rock with me through this whole presentation. Because I can speak to this presentation outside of notes and things of that nature. The notes help me, the notes aid me, but I could really speak to this shit through personal experience and really going through this and being attuned to the cosmic order. And then to keep it 1000, seeing the spots in my life where I'm not attuned to the cosmic order and realizing that I need to do this yellow magic along with the listener, because I need to figure out where I'm fucking up at. I need to do the self-inventory. I need to redo the self-inventory. If I did that shit 12 years ago, it don't even fucking matter. But I'm jumping ahead. So Uranus speaks to this great change. And this great change is veneration. And this veneration speaks to a deep love for the soul. You don't, man, come on now. Let's digress a couple seconds. Let's digress. Let's keep this shit all the way 1000, my nigga. Your human life is numero uno, and your spiritual life is somewhere, it's on the list. Let's keep this shit a buck. Let's keep this shit 1000, man. We not venerating our souls in 2019. We not putting that shit to the forefront. We're not. We don't revere our souls. We revere these celebrities. We revere these athletes. We revere, these money makers. But our soul, it's on a list. Uranus brings great change and great disruption and great awakening to this reality. And we're not going to just talk about this shit just to make us feel good. We're going to say the positives to working with this is effective manifestation. The negatives to working with this is self-deception and the acceptance of a fantasy. Okay, we're still in the fantasy realm. Each aspect speaks to a particular realm of fantasy. Each aspect speaks to a realm of self-deception. But then if we could fully utilize and incorporate this energy into our daily lives and venerate our spirits, what does your spirit tell you to do today? This is the daily energy reading. Fuck, what does your spirit tell you to do? Why did your spirit say click on this video? When there's a multitude of things you could do. I know every time I be always like, do I want to watch my video or do I want to watch where Dame Drops is eating this new hamburger at? I be conflicted with this shit. My own shit. So I know, I know it's hard for you. So why? Because what I'm on is something very deep and very spiritual. There is no difference from a collective of us dealing in secrecy. Like, we need to get log cabins and don't make moves to the night. Then we do, you know, like, it don't, like, fuck this internet shit of motherfuckers thinking that you deep. Cause you got motherfuckers on your page and motherfuckers on your channel champagning the shit that you talking about. Nah, bruh. Nah. The idea that we want to speak of is secret societies. And the idea of the foundation of society and civilization is built upon the mystery school. And the mystery school is a collection of souls coming together in nature, giving offerings. Because you know what? Human beings, we ain't got shit on nature. We don't got shit on nature. Man, I was watching Maleficent last night. Man, I'm watching Maleficent on loop because that was one of the most, that movie went over so many niggas' heads. It's astonishing. It's astonishing. It's so like, but I'm just bringing up that point because Maleficent was a fairy. This is just the beginning of the movie. This ain't no spoiler or nothing, but get into that movie. She was a fairy and she was a nature fairy, and the fairy in the forest that she was protecting was called the Moors. And at the beginning of the movie, it was the army going against the Moors. And it was her in a forest. And they thought they had her, and then she started summoning energy up from nature, from the earth, trees, and all types of shit. You feel me? This is what I'm on. Like, we don't even have to combat racism head on any longer. We can deal with racism the same way they've been dealing with racism in secrecy now, and let's see who win on that level. You understand what I'm saying? Let's meet in the forest and put some shit down with the nature, with the guardian spirits. Are you doing that? Are you doing that? Or are you getting your ass whooped? See, trying to factor all of this shit in my mind, justice, the secret society, adjustment, through the voodoo tarot, through the Thoth deck, through the Rider-Waite deck, you know, all of this shit, trying to connect the dots, you feel me? Because all of this shit is presented before us in a wild array of information, but all of this shit, it all connects. And if you ain't connecting this shit, if you just out here trying to live your best life, hoping that you get a fucking Mercedes, my nigga, please keep it moving, keep it pushing. Because this conversation is for people who want to bring real change in the world, because they look at the world and they see an imbalance, right? They see injustice. They see an adjustment that needs to be made, but they don't know how to fucking make the adjustment. Really? How can I make this adjustment now? I don't got a lot of money, hood mystic. What can I do now? You can go out into that goddamn forest in the nighttime and make some shit happen, because them spirits is ready. You see those spirits in the background? Like, what's up? Work with us. You ain't been working with us. You've been trying to keep this shit in the daytime, but you are a melanated being, right? Melanin is the night. But you've been conditioned to a Western society, wake up early in the morning, get your ass to work so you can sleep at night. And this can happen for a variety of different ways, and however this shit work out for you, it work out for you. Maybe you can't get to the forest. Maybe you just need to stay up a couple extra hours. Set your alarm clock to 3 o'clock in the morning and get busy. Get busy. adjustment, taken from esotericmeanings.org. The upright meaning of this card is taking stock of one's life and seeing what things are useful and what can be let go that is no longer serving us. And just to think, the last daily energy reading I was pulling from growing up in Akron, talking about self-inventory. It would seem as though I read this beforehand, which I did not. So we are all at a cusp. If I look at the energies and I look at the planetary alignments, I see a lot of energies changing signs. I see a lot of energy shifting. Okay? And the fact of these energies shifting, meaning that we all can take account of what's really going on in our lives and take accountability of ourselves and realize what's important, what do we need, what we don't need, get rid of shit so we could create more space for more shit to be added. Better things, rather. And understanding that this is the individual microcosmic understanding, but it leads to a whole higher collective understanding. Me and my wife, maybe we didn't necessarily know what we were doing at the beginning of our journey when we were just traveling to these mounds. We were just looking for shit to do. But as this energy has progressed and we make our next sojourners when the weather break and we have our next, spiritual movements, we know exactly what the fuck we doing. We know exactly what we're inspiring and what we're changing, not in our personal lives, but in this whole entire world and this whole understanding of how people begin to relate to each other. Man, it is a shift. It is a change. It is an adjustment. And how you conduct yourself, it fucking matters. How you feel about yourself, how you view your spirit, it really does matter. It truly does. So, yellow magic. Yellow magic, this is just the part one. This is just the overview. Yellow magic is ego magic. It breaks down into 4 particular aspects. We're going to deal with the 2 top aspects, and then tomorrow we'll deal with the latter 2 aspects. But if you want to look further into what we're talking about, be sure to follow me on the notes presently. So yellow magic is ego magic. It is self-illumination magic. It is sun magic. It is solar magic. All of this could be encompassed in the word ego magic. And the ego, if not carefully examined, is running your life presently. If you haven't fully examined your ego, if I'm saying ego and you don't know what I'm talking about, or you know what I'm talking about, but you like, I heard the ego, whatever. I'm tired of hearing about the ego. How can I get some money? You don't get it. So I don't even know how this came about. Oh yeah, I know exactly how it came about. Me and my wife, we were discussing a storefront and we were discussing the colors, and she was like, well, I know blue magic is wealth magic, and I know green magic is love magic, but what is yellow magic? And I was like, baby, I don't know. We about to find out. So this is what brings about yellow magic, but I feel like as I was studying it, it was right on time and right and exact to what needs to be discussed in alignment, because I didn't know it's 8 different magic. So I know sporadically I'm gonna bring out each and every magic in full detail and comprise a compendium, but I was just gonna bring it out in its own time. I wasn't gonna rush it, but now this is the time for the yellow magic. And if you're not hip to the blue magic, be sure to hit up www.hoodmystic.com. It's one of the more recent links, so it's easy to find. You can check out the compendium and, getting tuned into that wealth magic and that shit. I'm gonna tell you about that blue magic real quick before I fully get into this yellow magic. The blue magic, before I got into the blue magic, man, I was struggling with money. Like, money was one of them things that had me pissed off. Like I was looking at my wife and my kids like, man, one of y'all got to one of y'all, like, I was just like, one of y'all gonna have to get a job. I was looking at the baby, like, you gonna have to get into some modeling or something. Like, we need some more income, like, you know. And I was really pissed the fuck off, you know, and it was disturbing my vibration. So blue magic came right on time because I was ready to receive some new information on stimulating my wealth. And so by really developing and redeveloping old ideas and revitalizing and re-energizing and really understanding that there's a lot of different ways that I can begin to make money and not limit myself and open myself up to blue magic, I'm not in that same space anymore. And I know moving forward, I won't be in that space any longer because I'm not limiting myself financially. And it didn't make me overnight rich, but it did enrich me with ideas that, you know, me and my wife are actively pursuing, and what we're gonna do once we get off this live, and, you know, probably develop something more in the physical terms to generate some money and all different types of shit. But I owe it all to blue magic. It really opened it up for me and my wife, and, you know, things are getting a lot wetter. No pun intended. So yellow magic, ego magic, sun magic, illumination magic. The first aspect is the ego. Now, two different ways we can look at this. You either consist of an ego or you own an ego. If you consist of an ego, shut this video off. I can't do nothing more for you. Nothing I can say. If you are your ego, you are a black man, you are a black woman, you are a white woman, you are a white man, and you gotta fight for your gender equality, and men go their own way, and feminist movement, and, you know, black people, and, you know, gay rights, and all of this shit, that whatever ideologic that you could fall up under, it's all ego. Okay, let's get that straight off. But if you own an ego, you can change it however the fuck you want to. You be a girl one day, you be a boy the next day, you be whatever the hell you want to, because the ego has no direct relation to the soul whatsoever. There's no connection between ego and soul. What do you mean? Because you've incarnated as a soul in many different forms. 10 times out of 10, 11 times out of 10, the shit that you hate, you've incarnated it into a past lifetime, and you was probably, if you hate gay people, you probably was gay as rainbows in your past lifetime. Meaning that you probably the gayest person on earth, and you hate something that you are. So therefore, understanding ego gets you out of a lot of trouble, and it creates a lot of peace, because the ego within itself is a creation that you've created, that you can recreate, that you can edit, that you can modify, that you could fucking throw it away, get somebody else's. Like, you could do all types of shit. You could be Sinead O'Connor tomorrow if you wanted to, because you do not consist of an ego, you own an ego. You could do anything that you want to do with your appearance, okay? So the ego, in a sense, is the way that you see yourself, and yellow magic is the idea of changing the way you see yourself, because the way you see yourself leads into our next point, the charisma. So if we're not completely clear on the ego, is ultimately your general personality, excluding your personal behaviors. Because when you view your ego, you never view your ego as that wild motherfucker who was having that orgy last weekend, right? It's never like John the plumber slash orgy master, like never that, right? Or like the ego excludes your personal behaviors, right? So it's never, hi, my name is, Lisa, the porno watcher, like, because that's a extreme personal behavior, and you don't put that into the ego. The ego is a carefully designed image strictly for social media, right? So it's all made up. It's all a fugazi. And so to really get into the magic is to enter into the level of charisma, which is the self-confidence that a person could project, or in this etymological sense, is a spiritual gift or a spiritual power. It's something that you can use to control the masses for people to be like, you know what? I like that nigga, the hood mystic. But man, y'all did not like Kyrie's ass for shit. Like Kyrie, man, damn. Like y'all would walk past Kyrie. You would walk past Kyrie right now. You would probably be like, man, you probably, if I'm sipping a coffee, you probably throw change in that shit because you think I'm homeless, okay? But I've understood this a long time ago that I can recreate myself, and based upon recreating myself, I've recreated myself in the idea of my interests, in the idea of the things that I'm into, and which turned out to be a good thing, because if the further I deal into mysticism, the further I deal into astrology, I like that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's never a point where I'm like, ugh, I shouldn't have did that mysticism shit. That's putting me in a box. Like, it's really, it really puts me into the place where I want to be. I want to be a mystic. I want to dive more into mysticism and magic and occult and all of that. Like, I'm just now beginning. So, I'm happy with the name change or the ego overhaul that I went over. But, it's purely how you see yourself and the ability to tap into this stuff. Like, I'm not really new to this occult shit, so it's like trying to explain it to a person that's really new to it, you might have questions. So that's why I'm here. So throughout this yellow magic process, if you have any questions, if you have any idea of like, how can I incorporate this in my life? What you talking about sound interesting? Let me know, because I really been through this shit, and you can really tell that I've been through this shit because, man, look at me. Because I was Kyrie, man. I was Kyrie, and I was that nigga walking down the street in the rain and the puddle, and a nigga see me, the puddle, and hit the gas, like, just rain on, like, you know what I'm saying, splash me real good. But that was the ego that I've created. I had to recreate that shit because don't nobody want to get splashed on with dirty water walking in the rain in Canton, Ohio. Like, you don't want to be that person your whole life. So it's very, very, very important to deal with this shit. So the 4 levels or the 4 aspects of yellow magic. Before I get in, peace to Lux. Shouted him out on the super chat, man. I appreciate you, man. You ain't have to do that. I really do appreciate anybody on the super chat, and you will get a shout out. And be sure to reach out to me, man, because that's love. Because you ain't have to do that. But moving forward, the 4 aspects of yellow magic is ego, charisma, and then a dual energy of laughter, creativity, and then a dual energy of assertion and dominance. And so to understand this energy completely, say for instance, you got, Susie Sue. Susie Sue. She always be wearing the plain Jane outfit. Susie Sue, you can always ask her for $1. She always give you $1 if she got it. Susie Sue, she just plain Jane. If she was to deal with yellow magic, Susie Sue would come out the house and some fucking cat suit, you know what I'm saying, hair all dripped out, makeup on 10, and you looking at Susie Sue like, can I get your number? Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is how we deal with yellow magic, because what she redone her ego. And from redoing her ego, she developed a charisma about herself because she feel good about herself. And whatever she did with her hair, whatever she did with her makeup, whatever she did with that cat suit, it showed a level of creativity that accentuated them hips or whatever she had working with her. And from there, it's like, Susie Sue, can I give you my number? But before that, you ain't know the Susie Sue ass until you needed $1. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that I'm clear enough when understanding the 4 aspects of yellow magic. And even further, I'm gonna just break down the initial opening overview, and then the subsequent days we'll deal with this even further. But bear with me. Balancing all of these 4 aspects that we just discussed, it could reflect you being successful in society. So just like Susie Sue really wanted a man, and it's like, Susie Sue, you be coming out the house looking like Susie Sue. like you literally be looking like Susie Sue. So like, and you got them hips, you got that smile, girl, you got that beautiful hair, like, girl, do something creative, like do something that, show yourself off, like do something that make you feel good. And therefore, when it comes to men, they'll want to give you their number, they'll want to give you their attention, so it's like, okay, so, but it has to be a balance of all 4 levels. And that's why we got to talk about it all, because if any level goes to the extreme, and then it's just all out of whack. So magic within itself is a level of balancing. It's a balancing act. What do I mean? Because I could never explain to people, our magical endeavors or things of that nature, or I couldn't even explain it to myself, because the fundamental levels of magic is the lust of result. If you have a result that you're wishing to have, whether it be money, love, success, then 10 times out of 10 it's gonna be ruined because that lust of result. Dealing with this abstracted form of magic, I want to have money. Deal with this yellow magic because you can deal with the level of your ego that's keeping money away from you. And so if you can recognize the energies or the aspects of your ego that's keeping money away from you, you can eliminate that, because the fundamental principle is that you're not consistent of an ego. You own an ego. Your soul owns the ego. It doesn't even own the shit. It leases it. It's just renting it for a momentary time. And so y'all know how we get in them rental cars. It's time to, you know what I'm saying? You might have to do a couple of things in them rentals. You understand what I'm saying? Because it ain't really yours. It's, I might rent a Benz or something to give the impression that, I am trying to close this business deal, so I'm this businessman. It ain't a bad thing. Just sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So you own a personality. You're not made of a personality. And since you own a personality, that means you can modify it. We gonna have to talk about this all week, because it sound good intellectually. Intellectually, it sound real good, but I hear the dissension, I hear the conflict and the silence. But trust me, if you can understand what I'm saying at a fundamental level, do provide notes. So if it comes to a point where you gotta copy and paste and do your own study on the ego to come to your own consensus that we are made of the ego, our ego creates us, and everything about our lives consists of the ego, then hey man, that's your life. I can't argue with you. But from where I'm at, my perspective and all of my study, We are born of the soul, and the ego is a creation of the soul, not the other way around. So how can we get to a space, just to begin, just to set up with this overview, because I'm going to do this shit. So hopefully we can do this shit together, or maybe I'll just be the only one doing it. I don't care. But to get to this first level of working this shit and dealing with this yellow magic is to create a detailed inventory of their own personality. And this can be very difficult, and this can be very unsettling. How real can you be with yourself? And just write it down. And then look at the list and see all of the shit on the list that you don't like, and just cross that shit out. And then after you cross it out, write something positive or something alternative or something parallel to create a different vibration in a parallel universe. All of this shit is what people be talking about on some deep shit, and it might go over your head, but you hear them talking about it. You can Google parallel universes right now and hear a whole bunch of subjective, weird shit. But what I'm saying is parallel universes are simply universes that the individual can create, that can run concurrent to energies that perceive to happen in your life. So you don't have to get rid of shit, because that's the hard thing. Well, if you've been in a traumatic situation, you can write it out. You can scribble it out, and then you can write something to say a positive situation or how it turned out in your mind that made it favorable, or something to that effect, to create parallel universes within your being. Because parallel universes exist, and this is how people have been existing for so long. And they've created these parallel universes by living in these secret societies. But in this country, there was a 400-year contract. Excuse me. In this country, there was a 400-year contract. This is well documented. 1619. 1619. Jamestown was founded. It wasn't founded on no whim. It was founded on esoteric studies. Look up the Jamestown map. And they had specific instructions when they got here, the offerings to do to the Chesapeake Bay and the Susquehanna River. This is all well documented. And they did what they had to do. And they got what they had to get. But now it's our time to reclaim our land spiritually. And I hear a lot of people going to the mounds, and I support that. Wherever you at throughout this country, there is some nature that is supporting or sustaining your life. If you ever driven through farmlands, what you will notice is that there is no farmland that is disconnected from some form or body of nature. I don't know why. I'm not a farmer, but I know for a fact that every farm has some form of nature that it has to be connected to, just to sustain itself. And us as human beings on this planet and living in this world full of nature, it's time for us to take it back and understand that that nature is working with us in a level of sublime reality that we may not be fully aware consciously. But pay attention to the things that resonate with you. Pay attention to your studies. Pay attention to where you're at in the moment. Look around you. because where you're at, there is history, there is ancestral blood flowing through your veins, and all of this is coming alive right now in this moment. So, is there any questions? I think you connect with your ancestors by coming into a realization. Um, there is no action. So connecting with your ancestors would be the same way as how is my finger connected to my hand? How is my finger connected to my hand? It just is. When energies transition, they become DNA in our being. And so from there, you are your ancestors. You just have to step into that realization. A message that I got from the ancestors this weekend was that they're in a completely different position than they were in the human realm. So if you're looking at your ancestors as human beings, you're missing the point, because the reality is that the ancestors have transcended and metamorphosized within themselves. Their understanding has expanded. So you just have to open yourself up. Part of this energy is understanding the levels of having an open mind. Yeah, nothing is by mistake. 1619 is documented. Jamestown was discovered 1619, and they made pacts. They made oaths with the guardian spirits because the spirits could have ate them alive. It was a small group of people. You have to understand this planet was millions of people that could have ate them alive. But when you make spiritual pacts and when you have a spiritual mission, nothing can stop you. And what's done is done. But we have to understand that we have to take control of this energy now. We have to make preparations. Even if we don't see ourselves making moves, even if we don't see how we gonna have a car when the weather break, still figure out what bodies do I want to make offerings to. Because we all got those spots when we were children that we went to on those field trips, and we all have those moments in nature. Now tell me if I'm lying. Like I mean these technological 2010 kids that y'all keep in the house all day, they might not understand what the fuck I'm talking about. But if you grew up in the 80s, you have a fundamental connection with nature, and that shit is coming back. So make your plans. Do your work. Connect with people who understand what needs to be done. Secret society. All we ask is trust. We need to make moves together. We need to plant these seeds together. We need to take control of our land. Watch the movie Maleficent. Email me if you want to follow me on the notes. Just email me at hoodmystic@gmail.com. Just mention that you want to be in part of the notes, and I'll just add you. Um, my we're about to never mind. But Detroit, you gotta kind of. Hey Chauncey, how far you gotta drive to get to nature in Detroit? Just Detroit in general. My wife said a good place outside of Detroit is Kensington, past Novi, up Woodworth. But then, how far is Idlewild? Super far from Detroit. Idlewild like 3 hours. But see, that's the thing. That's the thing, though. Me and my wife, when it came to like, we live in Columbus. It's the Scioto River. It's a couple of mounds. But if we really want to get that work in, we gotta drive. Like we gotta drive. We have to drive far. Like like we have to drive, and people are like, "What are you doing?" Nothing. Like we ain't doing shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Or like and then if you can't drive and when the weather breaks, if you can just walk in the park at night. I mean, with proper security and things of that nature. Yeah, barefoot is possible, but your connection to nature is undeniable. And concrete represents a form of nature as well. You just have to understand that don't put limits in it. When we preparing, if I'm preparing for something in my mind that I want to connect with nature, isn't there the Detroit River? Is that a thing, or am I just making that up? Yeah, Belle Isle Park, Detroit River, offerings to that. Lake Michigan, is that a thing? That's not lake. What is that lake? That's not a lake. Ain't no lake by Detroit. Lake Erie, yeah, Lake Erie. If you leave in Cleveland, offerings to Lake Erie. Uh, all of this shit is valid. Like, there's no place in nature that's not valid that you can begin to give thanks, that you can begin to deal with. Because 10 times out of 10, you somewhere for a reason. And if you can stay in that space, I'm here for a reason. Show me what the reason that I'm here for. You're here because you need to leave this motherfucker. Like, you gotta really be open to spirit. And to be open to spirit means to take your spirit seriously. And this channel is a testament to that within itself. How do you offer to a lake? Hold on, I need my wife here for these types of conversations because she be really controlling the offerings and things of that nature. How would you offer to a lake? Honey, fish, watermelon, tequila, alcohol, and then whatever resonates with you, seashells, like you gotta really be creative. So I'm just giving you a couple things to kind of start off with, but you really gotta figure out like what does this river need? And it might not come to you initially. Might come to you in a dream. It might come to you throughout your day. But another aspect that we gotta really work with is an open mind when we're discussing offerings. There is no book. We didn't read books before we went out to spots. We just was like,
I went to the grocery store and
oh yeah, they really want, yeah, like so, like if you're a woman, you can mosey through well, if you're a man too, but women, their intuition is 5D. So, you can mosey through the grocery store and you'll just be like, oh shit, crackers. They want these crackers or they want this steak. You can't be in your level like, oh, I'm a vegetarian. Oh, nah, you got to get some pork tongue. I go to the international market. They be having the weird shit. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be like, oh, what is this beef tongue you speak of? Let me get a pound of that. So you got to really be open. You got to be open to the various things that spirit wants as offering. And you can't be like, I'm going to get a piece of fish for the river so I can get a boyfriend. Like, Nah.
Don't go asking.
You don't go asking for shit. You go strictly for the offering. Like, I go there strictly for the veneration. Like, dog, thank you for this river. Like, bro, like, this river has existed for 550 million years. And without this river, life would not be sustained for me to be here at this moment. Thank you. Thank you. Here. Might bring the drum out, drum a little bit while my wife burns some herbs. Is continue, thank you. And once the ceremony is done, close it, and continue walking down the path. And people walk past us as we in our ceremony, and they just keep it moving. Like, it's just so divine, man, being out. Like, I cannot wait to the nature break, because we know exactly how we gonna hit it. Like, we hitting it hard. Yeah, like, especially, so for instance, if you landlocked, like, everything that I'm saying, like, hood mystic, I live in the projects. Like, I've been there. Like, trust me, I grew up in Heat Street in Boston. Like, like, I know what it's like to live in the projects and be so far away from nature. But that don't stop you from buying a plant. Like Rashida said, that's love. Like, buy some plants. Cause it was people in the projects, the witches in the projects, they hold projects, vines. Like, that shit was nature, created nature. My mama, like, our houses, like I said, we grew up in apartment buildings where it was no nature, but she provided that nature by the plant life. Like, our house, like, I can't even explain this shit. I can't explain it. It was just vines every fucking where. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because our life was nature. Like, I've always been surrounded by nature, and I never imagined, like, you don't limit yourself by your surroundings and your environment to say, like, oh, I'm disconnected from nature. Nah, don't go out like that. Yeah. That's if you get them urges to do shit in nature, do it. Have we ever? No, I don't think we ever. Have we ever? Oh yeah, we have. I just remembered. Sometimes you get urges to make love out in nature. Do that shit, man. In safe environments, and like, it's just like, not even just to make love in nature. Like, it's not something that we do on a regular, but nature is just, it's how we got here, and a lot of it. Oh, and but it was them homeless people that came out the like, oh shit, it's like they be a little peep show. Huh? The merge? No, not them urges. That was my urges. Sorry, guys. But when you collect them offerings and things of that nature, you get those urges too, But so many things. My whole life is created off of urges. Like I'm so happy that I have a wife to kind of bear witness to, just the idea of feathers. Feathers. Feathers are all over my home based upon urges. Like, we just pick up feathers. Even the children, we've created the habit that our children, they see feathers, they pick them up. And we didn't have to read online the significance of feathers to just be like, this means something. Like, so many things is built upon urges. Everything, shit. Like, this whole channel ever, like, there's one big urge to do something outside of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And, like, following your urges. Not my urges. My urges that get you in trouble. Get you a lot of babies. But thank you guys for joining me. Really enjoyed the live today. Very happy that I was able to get this information out. Very sublime, and I'm very in a very weird space where everything is making way too much sense spiritually. But I'm thinking that's how it's supposed to be. There shouldn't be any cobwebs. There shouldn't be any obstructions. You should know exactly what you need to do moving forward. And so if you are confused, if you need some enlightenment or things of that nature, feel free to reach out. Feel free to, you know, reach out, get these notes and, process this shit, man, because like I started off this video is how I'm gonna end out this video. Like the hardest part or the greatest fear to this work is to not be able to be clear in the transmission how I receive it. I know I'm receiving a transmission because I find myself in spaces of deep resonation. You know it's real when you're being inundated with spiritual information and you don't want to move. You just want to sit there. You just want to listen. You just want to take it in because this is what you need to hear to move you forward. And so that's what spirit is to me. And I hope that I could be the same for you, and nothing more and nothing less. So thank you for joining me this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, or Tuesday rather, to discuss Uranus further. We're going to discuss Mars conjunct Uranus at the 29th degree of Aries. So stay tuned for that, and we'll deal with this yellow magic part 2. So everybody have a great day.